Chapter 1 introduces the scene, the setting, the circumstances and the characters involved determining the reasons for the Bhagavad Gita's revelation. The scene is the sacred plain of Kurukshetra. The setting is a battlefield. The circumstances is war. The main characters are the Supreme Lord Krishna and Prince Arjuna, witnessed by 4 million soldiers led by their respective military commanders. After naming the principal warriors on both sides, Arjuna's growing dejection is described due to the fear of losing friends and relatives in the course of the impending war and the subsequent sins attached to such actions. Thus this chapter is entitled, Lamenting the Consequence of War. In Chapter 2 Arjuna accepts the position as a disciple of Lord Krishna and taking complete of him requests the Lord to instruct him in how to dispel his lamentation and grief. This chapter is often deemed as a summary to the entire Bhagavad Gita. Here many subjects are explained such as Karma Yoga, Jnana. Chapter 3 establishes the fact by various points of view that the performance of prescribed duties is obligatory for everyone. Here Lord Krishna categorically and comprehensively explains how it is the duty of each and every member of society to carry out their functions and responsibilities in their respective stage of life according to the rules and regulations of the society in which one lives. Further, the Lord explains why such duties must be performed, what benefit is gained by performing them, what harm is caused by not performing them. Plus what actions lead to bondage and what actions lead to salvation. All these points relating to duty have been described in great detail. Thus this chapter is entitled, The Eternal Duties of Human Beings. In Chapter 4 Lord Krishna reveals how spiritual knowledge is received by disciplic succession and the reason and nature of his descent into the material worlds. Here he also explains the paths of action and knowledge as well as the Visuddhan. In Chapter 5 Lord Krishna delineates the concepts of action with detachment and renunciation in actions, explaining that both are a means to the same goal. Here he explains how salvation is attained by the pursuance of these paths. Thus this chapter is entitled, Action and Renunciation. Chapter 6 Lord Krishna reveals Astanga Yoga, and the exact process of practicing such yoga. He explains in detail the difficulties of the mind and the procedures by which one may gain mastery of their mind through yoga, which reveals the spiritual nature of a living entity. Thus this chapter is entitled, The Science of Self-Realization. In Chapter 7 Lord Krishna gives concrete knowledge of the absolute reality as well as the opulence of divinity. He describes his illusory energy in the material existence called Maya and declares how extremely difficult it is to surmount it. He also describes the 4 types of people attracted to divinity and the 4 types of people who are opposed to divinity. In conclusion he reveals that one in spiritual intelligence takes exclusive refuge of the Lord without reservation in devotional service. Thus this chapter is entitled, Knowledge of the Ultimate Truth. In Chapter 8 Lord Krishna emphasizes the science of yoga. Revealing that one attains whatever one remembers at the end of one's life, the Lord emphasizes the utmost importance of the very last thought at the moment of death. Also he gives information on the creation of the material worlds as well as establishing a distinction between them and the spiritual world. Here he explains the light and dark paths in regards to leaving this material existence, the destination to which they each lead to and the reward received by each. Thus this chapter is entitled, Attainment of Salvation. In Chapter 9 Lord Krishna reveals that the sovereign science and the sovereign secret. He explains how the entire material existence is created, provided, maintained and annihilated by his external energy, and all beings are coming and going under his supervision. The subjects matters covered subsequently are primarily concerned with devotional service, and the Lord himself declares that these subject matters are most confidential. Thus this chapter is entitled, Confidential Knowledge of the Ultimate Truth. Chapter 10 reveals Lord Krishna's exalted position as the cause of all causes, also specifying his special manifestations and opulences. Arjuna prays to the Lord to describe more of the opulences, and the Lord describes those which are most prominent. Thus this chapter is entitled, The Infinite Glories of the Ultimate Truth.